Good morning, children. Good morning. Okay, children. Somebody's mic is on. Please mute it before we start the class. Okay, children. So let us continue with the civilization. We have seen the other civilization. We have to continue with the Chinese civilization. Sorry, children, I cannot come in the video. So I will continue with my lesson. So I cannot start my video. I will start my class directly. Okay. So this is the last civilization where we have to learn Chinese civilization. So yesterday we have started with the Chinese civilization. I have shown few of the images. Even I have told that this is the only civilization that will follow the same culture what they had at the beginning of the civilization. Yes, do you remember what I said? Yes. So it is an East Asian country with a large territory, a huge population, okay, and an ancient history with written records dating back 4,000 years. So from this, you can understand that some of the records were there, which tells us about the Chinese civilization, and it is 4,000 years back. And it is one of the greatest civilization among all the four civilizations. Chinese civilization is considered as the greatest civilization, we can say. Okay, and it is the ancient civilization that has continued to this very day. That means they are following the culture what they have started in their earlier period of civilization. They follow the same thing. Let us see the location. Okay, have you heard about the Yellow River? So Egypt means the gift of the Nile. Egypt, what is the river? Main river, Nile River. Here we talk about the Yellow River. Yes, so Yellow River plays a very important role in the Chinese civilization because it's said to be the cradle of Chinese civilization, the place where the civilization started. It is said to be the cradle of civilization. That means the place where the civilization started. Okay, so and not only on the side of the Yellow River, even there is another river which is called Yangtze River. Yangtze River. What is the river called? Yangtze River. So near that river also the civilization started. So both these Yellow River and Yangtze River plays a very important role in the development of the Chinese civilization, or we can say that the emergence of the Chinese civilization. Okay, so these river valleys. So these river valleys played a very important role. Yes, and they have started in the Neolithic era itself, Neolithic age itself. Now let us see here. The first light of the Chinese civilization revealed itself 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. The first light of Chinese civilization means first they started. We say now in the previous slide we have seen 5,000 years ago, but first they started 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. So this shows that civilization started earlier itself, but we are not without the proper evidences, we are not come to know about actually when it started. Okay, that is why archaeological evidences tells us that when it is happened, when it was happened, or where it was happened, like that. Still, the archaeological excavations are going on. Through that, we will be able to understand, and a new history also can be formed in the future age. Then, see, you can see here the first light of Chinese civilization revealed itself 7,000 to 8,000 years ago, as indicated by the ruins of the Daxi culture. Okay, because of, see, you can another culture we are now come to know about Daxi culture. All these are not there in your book. In Sichuan and Hubei provinces, the Majiapang culture in Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces, Hemudu culture in eastern Zhejiang, and Yangshuo culture along the middle reaches of the Yellow River. So these are all the different kinds of culture where they followed near this river. Okay, different kinds of culture. We say Hindu culture. In our India, we talk about Hindu culture, Muslim culture, Buddhist culture, or the tribal people culture. We say in the same way, Chinese they used these kind of terms like that. Okay, so this is one of the important statue in Chinese civilization. You can see the biggest statue. So, which are all the major rivers plays an important role in the emergence of the Chinese civilization? Yellow River and Yangtze River. Yellow River and Yangtze River. Let us see the social structure. The king and his family was placed on the topmost level of the ancient social Chinese pyramid. Pyramid means what? The level, to show that pyramid means pyramid is not there in China. The level, to show that level. Okay, like we say mind map, the same way pyramid structure they are showing the social class. So the first place, king and his family. The first place, king and his family. They are on the topmost level. Then, okay. Then if you see here, she means she were the gentry scholars in the time ancient Zhou and Shang dynasties. They were the scholars. They were the scholars. Next one, Nong. Nong class was comprised by the pleasant farmers. Pleasant farmers, not the poor farmers, pleasant farmers. Nong. Next one, the Gong community means the Gong class was composed by the craftsmen and artisans. Okay, Gong. Next one, Shang. Shang class was composed by traders and merchants. Okay, first one, King, then Shai, Nong, Gong, Shang. These are the different types of communities emerged at that time. So that is the class. So this is the pyramid what I have shown you. The class pyramid. You can see here the king sitting on the top. Next one also, that is emperor. Here king and the governor. Next one you can see state official, nobles and scholars. Then you can see peasants. Then you can see artisans, merchants. Then soldiers, slaves. So every community, every civilization had the slaves as the last one. So slaves community were there even the beginning of the civilization itself. So this is the place where China is. You know that where it is located. Okay. And here in China, this is Yellow River, this is Yangtze River. So in between these rivers, Chinese civilization developed. So what's the religion they followed is Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. What are the religions? Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. Here you can see the type of the people, the way of dressing and everything through this art. Shi Huangdi, the first emperor, founded the Qin, that is Qin dynasty. Who is she? She is only Shi Huangdi. The first emperor founded the King Qin, that is Qin, which is called as Qin dynasty. The emperor had the title Son of Heaven. What is the title given for the emperor? Son of Heaven. He was considered as Son of Heaven. So let us see the Han Dynasty of China. During that, in that Han Dynasty, they had the golden age. They had the golden age. Why do we give the name golden age? If the period is good for all the community people, all the types of the people, then we say it as a golden age. If they had lot of money at the time, then we say it as a golden age. So this was Han Dynasty of China. This golden age they had from 206 BCE to 220 CE. 206 BCE to 220 CE. You can see the type of the people. Okay, a big chariot which was driven by the lot of horses, because all these belong to the king's family. When king's family travel, they used to have this culture. So let's see here. This is a golden age of Chinese history. Which age? 206 to, okay, 220 AD, considered as a golden age of Chinese history. He is only Emperor Gaodi. He founded the Han Dynasty. Han Wudi took control in 141 BC. Next one, Han Wudi took control in 141 BC. That means after Emperor Gaodi, Han Wudi came and he made lot of efforts to expand the Chinese empire. Then at that time only paper was invented, and using that paper they introduced the first dictionary also. Using that paper they introduced the first Chinese dictionary. So golden age of Chinese history, at that time Emperor Gaodi only founded that Han dynasty. Then after Emperor Gaodi, Han Wudi took the control and he wanted to expand the Chinese empire. That time paper was invented. Using that paper they made the first Chinese dictionary. So you can see here the way they made the dictionary. These are the pieces, stone pieces of that dictionary. Okay, let us see the dynasty, Han dynasty. The Chinese invented many new products at that time. Okay, during the Han dynasty, such as the water wheel, the rudder, drill bits, steel, paper, and so many things. Okay, and even Chinese doctor began practicing acupuncture. What kind of medicine, that is, what kind of treatment they followed is acupuncture, the practice of easing pain by sticking needles into the patient's skin. Even now we have this kind of acupuncture treatment. So this was invented by Chinese acupuncture treatment. So period of progress. This period is called as the progress of period, and we can say that prosperity happened in China. Okay, they developed a very strong army at that time. They developed a very strong army, and not only that, government policies based on Confucian ideals. They followed different religion, but they developed the government policies based on the Confucian ideals. Okay, and they believed that the government should be run by the educated persons and the ethical men, not by everybody. They believed that the government should be run by the educated persons as well as the ethical person who has the good values. Only those people only should run the government, they thought at that time. So the Han dynasty and the Roman Empire existed at the same time and traded through the Silk Road. So when the Han dynasty emerged at the time, same time only Roman Empire also were there. So they had a better trade relationship between them through the Silk Route. Through the Silk Route. Next one, this is about Wu Tai, that is Han Wu. Wu Tai, that is Han Wu the Great, another emperor. From 141 to 87 BC, he expanded the empire and built many public places, public offices, public buildings, and like public amenities means whatever is needed for the public. Okay, including all the irrigation tanks also were built by this Wu Tai. He also sent Zhang Qian, an emissary, to the west in 138 BC and thereby paved the way for the opening of the Silk Road. So, who started to construct the Hill Silk Road is Zhang Qian in 130 BC. Why he wanted to start the Silk Road or construct the Silk Road? In order to have the trade activities with other places. And because of that Silk Road only, the empires expanded. They had trade connections with other emperors and other dynasties. Okay, when it happened? During the rule of Emperor Zhang. Some of the Chinese silk might have reached Rome through the ports of Tamil Nadu also. They used the Silk Road to export their silk commodities to the other places, and some of their silk clothes or silk materials were traveled through the ports of Tamil Nadu also. Okay, they were traveled through the ports of, that is on the side of the sea itself. They just traveled and sent their, they had their trade with other countries. And this is very important that you should know. This is called Terracotta Army. In 1974, a group of farmers found pottery which was made of terracotta. An archaeologist found 8,000 life-sized statues of horses, chariots, and men. When archaeologists were excavating the places, that time they found 8,000 life-sized statues of horses, chariots, and men. These soldiers were buried for more than 2000 years at the tomb of Shi Huangdi. Soldiers were not buried, the images, that is the statues, I will show you here. Okay, see here. You can see the animal here, animal statues, soldiers. Soldiers here. You can see here the soldiers. This is how nearly 8,000. Why means they thought that in order, even after the death also, the army should support the king. So that is why these many statues were made, and all there were buried along with the person, dead person, the dead king. So that is called what? Terracotta army. Okay, that is called what? It is a very important Chinese art. Very, very important Chinese art. You can see here the picture. Yes, and see everywhere. All these are the statues and the human statues, army statues. And you can see along with that animals also. Animals means horses. So you will let us see here. Sculpture has been part of the Chinese art tradition for over 5,000 years. Making sculptures is an important art for them. And this massive collection of sculptures was created for the burial site of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, to protect him in the afterlife. Understood now? The first emperor of Chinese civilization. So after he died, along with his dead body, all these were buried inside in order to protect him even after the life after death. Fine, children. So this is called what? Terracotta army. So let us see the Chinese literature. It is one of the most major literacy with an interrupted history, more than, sorry, yes, more than 30,000 years. So it is dating back at least to the 14th century. So the script was like 30,000 years back. There are four classes of literature: classical literature, modern literature, contemporary literature, and present age literature. Classical, modern, contemporary, and present age. See, Chinese poets and philosophers such as Lao Tzu, these are all important persons. Lao Tzu, Confucius, Mencius, Mo Tai, and Tao Zhen contributed to the development of Chinese civilization. They were the poets and philosophers who has contributed to their field. And Sun Tzu, he was a military strategist who wrote the work called Art of War. Okay, so he was a military strategist. He wrote about the war, the art of war. And the Yellow Emperor Canon of Medicine is considered China's earliest written book on medicine. Okay, Yellow Emperor's Canon of Medicine. What is the name of the book? Canon of Medicine. It was the earliest written book on medicine. Okay, and it was codified during the Han Dynasty. Lao Tzu was the master archive keeper of the Chao state. Next one, he was a founder of the Taoism. He argued that The desire is the root cause of all evils. You would have heard these words in the Buddhism. Buddha used to say that. Yes, so desire is the root cause of all the evils. Same thing was told by Lao Tse also at that time. More and more wants only leads to all kinds of evils. So this is one in Confucius and Confucianism. He is only Confucius. He lived in the later part of the Spring and Autumn period, which was called as a Spring and Autumn period at that time, which is between 770 to 479 BC. He was a philosopher, political thinker, and also an educator of ancient China. Okay, even now we are talking about the Confucius. Many of the books talks about Confucius and his religion, Confucianism. So some of the principles are, see, you can see here, which is given in red color, Li, Ren, Shu, Yi, Zio. These are the basic principles according to the religion. Meaning, Li means right, rules, ritual, decorum, that is binding force of an enduring, stable society. How to have a better society. The rules are given there. That is called Li. Next one, Ren means humanness, benevolence, and humanity. Then Shu means reciprocity and empathy. That is, do not do unto others what you would not want others. In Tamil they say, நாம எப்படி மதிக்கப்படணும்னு நினைக்கிறோமோ அதே மாதிரி அடுத்தவங்கள மதிக்கணும். நமக்கு என்ன நடக்கக்கூடாதுன்னு நினைக்கிறோமோ same thing should not happen to the others. So that's the meaning of it. Then Yai means righteousness. Zio means filial piety, that is respect your elders. So all these are the basic principles of the Confucianism. Okay, children, this is about Mengzi, another important person. Okay, so we were seeing about Meng Shi, which is who were called as Meng Shu. Okay, see Meng Shu, which is the Latinized word as Mencius, one of the world's greatest philosopher. After Confucius, he is also considered one of the world's greatest philosopher, and he systematically developed and deepened the Confucius philosophy. He started working on the Confucius philosophy, and he deepened means he made some more works to make the people understand about that Confucius religion and the Confucius work. Okay, especially the values, ethical values, and the politics, that is on the administration side. So both he made some lot of work and made it easier for the people to understand what is given there. So these are all the Chinese script. Kang Zhai. Okay, Kang Zhai created this Chinese script earlier. Who was a person? Kang Zhai. I will show you the spelling. So you can see here, Kang Zhai created the earliest written characters. Initially, it was a everybody had the pictographic form of writing only in the earlier stage. After that, only they started following their own signs and symbols and some alphabets. Now, Chinese still follow the symbol form only. Okay, even though alphabets are created, still in most of the cases they follow these kind of symbol forms of writing. So let us see some of the Chinese inventions. In agriculture, they invented the iron plow, horse harness, rotary winnowing fan, row cultivation of crops. That is cultivation of crops in the row wise. Next one, they explored kite, parachute, hot air balloons, rudder, helicopter rotor. In the technology field, then they invented lacquer, paper, wheelbarrow, fishing reel, okay, porcelain, umbrella, chess, printing, matches, paper money, compass, ice cream, silk. All these were invented by them. On the warfare side, crossbow, gunpowder, flamethrower, rocket, gun, cannon, and mortars, martial arts. All these were introduced by them. On the engineering side, cast iron, double acting piston bellows that air liquid, water power, suspension bridge, chain drive, deep drilling for natural gas, belt drive. So these are all I have just shown you like half of the inventions and some discoveries on the sides. There were many inventions by the Chinese. So this is about the gunpowder. We have to learn about the gunpowder. It was discovered by the Chinese alchemist. Okay, why they discovered this? Because when they were searching for an exiler of immortality around the 9th century, they discovered this one. It consisted of saltpeter, that is potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. Okay, gunpowder consisted of potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. From there, China to the other parts of the world, it spread around 13th century. This can be used in firework, cannons, rockets, missiles, guns, etc. Okay, next one, irony is China used gunpowder primarily for firecrackers. Okay, but the other western side of the countries used it to develop guns and cannons. Okay, so using that, they made lot of weapons and they started dominating China itself. When? In 1800. Okay, in 1800. So this is a picture which is shown there. During the year 1281, a bomb was thrown against a charging samurai in China. So actually, this gunpowder was invented by China. It traveled through it spread to all parts of the world in the 13th century. The Western countries started using that gunpowder to make the weapons. After making the weapon, they started attacking or have control over the China. Fine, children. So I hope you have understood till this. Very few concepts are left out that we will see in the next class. If you have any doubt, you can ask now. Do you have any doubt, children? Hope you all have understood about the gunpowder and so many inventions made by the Chinese. Any doubt? So the next week, Tuesday, you have your cycle test. Start preparing for that. Fine, children. Thank you all. We will meet in the next class. Thank you all, children.